These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
What I meant by my comment was, when you're a franchise quarterback, you have to carry yourself a certain way. So if you're having bad body language, pouting, moping on the sideline, what type of energy do you think that feeds off to your teammates? That's what I meant about Kyler cares. He's caring about himself because he's not putting the team first. You know, when you make a bad throw, you're coming off to the sideline, you're dropping your shoulders. How do you think the defense feel? If our starting quarterback don't have any energy, no fire, that we can win this game, how can we?
God, inject that into my blood. I didn't know that he responded. That's a great clip.
He responded by basically saying, I meant what I said, which, by the way, I applauded from the start.
And here's why I meant it.
Yeah.
Just an absolute straight shot. Oh.
And by the way, this is no longer what the starting quarterback of my team does, which really helps us.
Well, Kirk wasn't like terrible body language guy, was he? He clenches his teeth a little when he gets nervous.
His sideline demeanor previously, the last couple of years, I didn't think was very good.
But did it borderline? And I am the number one.
It didn't give you confidence.
No, but it wasn't toxic. So I mean,
it wasn't toxic, but it didn't help, which I think is important. But anyway, what I loved was Peterson's like, no, I didn't mean that. I meant this, which is exactly what I meant.
Yeah,
which good for him. He's right.
It's
I love that.
Amazing. And then, of course, Kyler Murray's like, well, he's got my number and this, and Patrick Peterson's like, I'm not going to call you, dude. I'll just keep talking publicly because you're a clown.
He did text him, and Kyler ain't going to call him back because he's a clown.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. All right, this is Feedback Friday here on Mackey and Judd, where we take all of your comments and questions, concerns, critiques from different corners of the internet, the Score North app, Twitter, the YouTube comment section, and we get to as many as we can here. So let's start. Speaking of Kirk, let's start with this one from Jake Ward via the Score North app. I just wanted to comment on something I heard on the McAfee show this week. He said Russell Wilson has to become a real human to fix his career. Oh, God. I love that. I love these burns coming out. I thought it interesting because Russell is acting exactly like Kirk used to act like, and I think it's affecting his play. Very robotic, says what you want to hear, very polite and proper, stays away from stating criticism even when it's warranted. That's how Kirk was. I feel like it held Kirk back in the same way it's holding Russ back. Once Kirk finally felt comfortable showing his personality, the team rallied around him and now see him as a leader and someone they'll battle for. Curious as to your thoughts on the comparison between Russ and Kirk's personalities.
I find that to be intriguing. So here's the thing with Russ. And I mean, the Broncos are a mess. I think at the end of the season that Nathaniel Hackett will be dismissed, and he should be. But my problem with the Russ thing is this. I don't think Russ has really changed. I think when your team absolutely blows, it becomes very tough, right? Because, I mean, Russ, unlike Kyler, Russell Wilson has a resume of previous accomplishments that are very impressive. So I don't know exactly where I fall. Like, yes, it's funny that, let's ride Broncos country. And it's so shticky and stuff. But I don't know exactly where I fall here because it's not like Russ has been a train wreck throughout his career. He's actually been at one point great. He's aging. I get that. And so, yes, physically, he's not the quarterback that he once was. But I think it's very easy to dump on the guy when his team is terrible. And I don't know that Russ can take all the blame here. I mean, this Broncos team, just from afar, from here, seems to me to be terribly led.
Yeah, he thought that he was moving away from like this old, outdated, defensive-minded coach. And he goes over to Denver and he winds up with the young, newer age offensive coach on paper. And it's a train wreck. So classic example of the grass isn't always greener. But I do think if you were to find a Sean Payton to connect with Russ, that you'd see a resurgence. But so Russell's also, he's very caught up in like the sort of the celebrity world. And there's been some other stories now behind the scenes that he just will like blow people off. And he's just, I don't know that I think he's almost like lost who he was initially 10 years ago as a person.
Sure.
So I don't know him personally.
You know who he sounds like exactly now? A-Rod when he went and played for the Yankees. All that weird stuff about how what was it, Jeter or somebody knocked on A-Rod's hotel room door at one point during this entire thing, and it was like 2 a.m, and he came out in a suit and answered the door in a suit.
Wearing a suit.
Like, it's the same type of really weird thing.
Yeah.
It's not that the guy's not a great player. Definitely a weird guy, but that's considered to be, hey, fun and boy, unique when you're winning. When you're losing, you stink.
It feels like Russell is hiding something almost. Like he's not being himself. He's putting up a facade to the media, and maybe he's putting up a facade. If Pat McAfee is saying stuff like this, McAfee's like the ultimate pump players' tires guy, right? He'll defend guys and stuff, and so he's clearly hearing things behind the scenes. So I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison to Kirk Cousins, but I will say Cousins letting the guard down a little bit, doing the change thing on the team plane, being more open, being willing to admit that he was wrong on a throw or bad in a game, or opening up about how, like, you guys always talk about how great I've been this year, and I go home thinking about how atrocious I've been this year. Like, he's leveling with people more and just being more of a real human, I guess. So there's some comparison for sure. Josh Salvino here says, should we still be expecting more from Kirk? I am absolutely not a Cousins crusader and was with you guys from the start about Kirk, but Kirk this year has been a breath of fresh air. Has made me wonder at times if he's actually worth another contract, perhaps. But I feel we should still hold him to a higher standard in the aspect of why did his back of the football card stats have to drop across the board to make him show up in other areas to help the team win? Why can't we all be holding him to a higher standard and saying, why can't he put up stats all the time and push out wins? Maybe I'm overthinking it. So, yeah, it is kind of funny in that his traditional back of the football card stats have gone down a lot, but he's rising up in these fourth quarter moments. Couldn't he do both? Well, if he was capable of doing both, he would literally be like a Hall of Fame court. He would be Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady in his prime, etc.
Right, which I completely don't expect.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I'm willing to take door B. If door A is, hey, those stats are great, and you are, an 8-9 football team, and door B is your stats aren't great, but guess what? In the fourth quarter, you are Kirk O'Chains. I'll take Kirk O'Chains.
Mm-hmm.
That's just him now, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, it's on one hand, he's the third highest paid player to the cap in the NFL, and so you do have to hold him to as high of a standard as possible, because if you're going to pay a guy that much money to the cap, and it has nothing to do with like how much money he actually makes. It's about strategy under the salary cap. And so when he's going to take up that high of a percentage of your resources, he needs to deliver a lot of things. Otherwise, you don't have enough money to pay the other teammates to carry the water that he can't carry. But I would rather him be carrying fourth quarter water than second quarter water or early third quarter water or something, if I had to choose.
Do you think his stats improve markedly next year with a year under his belt in this scheme?
Yes, I do.
Because that's a possibility.
I do. I also think he needs another receiver weapon.
Sure.
He's got the tight end weapon now. I think he needs another receiver weapon.
Like it or not, this whole perception that O'Connell was going to bring an offense that Kirk ran in full in like 2016 here wasn't true. So I could see, and I could actually see the record being worse and the stats going back up, because, you've certainly gotten some fortuitous bounces this year. But I think, again, to go back to Kirk telling the truth, I think Kirk was telling the truth when he's like, you guys don't know, like, this is not exactly my system. I didn't like how he broached it in the spring, but I think more and more we are seeing a case where he wasn't probably that wrong.
Yeah. Randy Dorhofer says, Mackey, you're a schmuck. It's a great word.
I love schmuck.
It's a great word. It's very insulting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that insulting. A schmuck.
There's
way worse
though.
Things you could insult. Yeah, it's a great insult. But
Let me look it up to make sure it means what I think it means.
He says you're a schmuck. Just admit you're an idiot. By the way, these yours are Y-O-U-R. You need the apostrophe in here, Randy. But just admit you're an idiot and don't know bleep about football. Kirk had handcuffs on for 3 years before this.
He was Houdini?
He was David Blaine, actually. They threw him in the ocean. Shark-infested waters.
Adam, catch this!
And now he's appearing in the fourth quarter to save the day. So, yeah, this is a common argument here. And it's the first part of it is, I think the first part of it's correct. Mike Zimmer had handcuffs on Kirk. Or just ignored him. He just put him in a different room altogether. Right?
Yeah. Yes, I think that
is correct. Right. The insinuation here is he had handcuffs on for 3 years and therefore should be exonerated from everything that happened until Kevin O'Connell arrived. In my argument, which Randy I think is correct, by the way, if you want to be on the right side of Kirk history, Randy Hofer, is that great leaders don't need permission to lead. And that was my beef with Kirk. It's well, what's he supposed to do? Mike Zimmer, this. Well, yep. There's been a lot of great quarterbacks in the past. There are great basketball players or hockey players or whatever that didn't like their coach or didn't get along. Guess what? They didn't just disappear into a corner and be dictated to. They led. They let their personality continue to lead. And so Kevin O'Connell gives permission to Kirk to lead. And Kirk is stepping into that. And that's awesome. It's the exact partnership that we've wanted all along. But in the pie chart of praise, Kevin O'Connell gets the biggest slice because he's the one coming in and sort of unlocking things that Kirk couldn't unlock himself like other great quarterbacks and leaders. So Kirk with Kevin equals awesome. But Kevin is the one that's unlocking this. So, I mean.
You're still a jerk.
Sorry.
Hater.
A schmuck. Did you look up the definition? Did you find the definition of schmuck?
Yes. It means a part of the male body.
What?
Yes. Look it up.
Really?
Look it up. Yes.
I did just the Google search, and I just saw a foolish person is what I
saw. It does say that. Yes.
Is there
foolish or
type in
contemptible?
Might need the Urban Dictionary.
Person.
Type in schmuck and let's see here. And
on Wikipedia, it's defined as a stupid or foolish or obnoxious, contemptible or detestable person.
Yiddish. The word came into the English language from Yiddish, where it has similar pejorative meanings, but where its literal meaning is a vulgar term for a.
Got it.
Okay.
I found what Judd's looking for. Yep.
Huh.
My mom told me that years ago because she said it once, and a friend of hers said, "You know what that really means, don't you?"
So did she stop saying it then?
Yes, she did.
She say it more.
I still think it's a great word. Don't get me wrong, and it's a good insult. It's quality. I'm just saying I think it's fine.
I'm still going to use it in the context that I'm not going to let you ruin this word.
I don't think your friends will know, Dex.
Yeah.
I don't think your friends will know that. So I think you're fine with that.
Okay.
They will now, though. They will now, though.
I mean, there's so many good words to use.
You know how you can avoid being a schmuck?
How's that?
You can go on Underdog Fantasy.
You can.
And you can sweat some games this weekend.
Yeah, I got another slip from guy who has made some hockey overs over this week as well. So there's not just NFL options on Underdog Fantasy. There is NHL options. You got NBA options. Even World Cup. There's World Cup options. You want to take over-under on shots or saves or whatever it may be. Plenty of options to choose from at Underdog Fantasy, which is the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. And when you join with promo code SCORE, SKOR, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Join Underdog Fantasy, which is the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports.
Also, if you feel like you're a schmuck around the home, Judd, maybe Finch Home Solutions can come in and help you out.
Yes, that's right. And look, I mean, it goes beyond that because this is things like your Christmas lights don't work, right? You plug them in, they don't work. You're not a schmuck. You just don't know how to fix it. You're going to get a hot tub installed. You and the gal have decided we're going to get a joint holiday gift. We're going to get a hot tub. But you know what? Electrical work has to be done. Maybe flickering lights. And you're like, what's wrong here? And you don't know. I don't know. But guess what? It takes only one call to Finch Home Solutions to get any electrical issues in your home solved. And here's the other important thing. Don't wait until something goes wrong. Be proactive. Finch is offering a free home safety inspection to all Score North listeners. Be sure to tell them that you heard about Finch on Score North because there are special deals then. just go to finchhomesolutions.com, or you can call them 612-357-2604. finchhomesolutions.com. They will solve all the problems that guys like us can't.
Schmucks like us can't. Tim Trail says, I was talking football the other day with my son-in-law, and a subject came up I would like to get your takes on. What is the number one thing you can attribute for the success of the 2022 Vikings? So then what's the number one thing? Is it the quality of depth on the roster? Is it KOC's scheme, the schedule, the new coaching staff, the improved play of Cousins, the lack of good opponents? Did this talented team just quit playing for Mike Zimmer and now they're coming out swinging this year? Or is it luck? What is, for you guys, the number one reason why this team is way better?
To me, one is clear cut, complete change of environment, and O'Connell, what he's brought. I have no idea if it's going to last for 10 years, for 5 years, or for 3 years. Okay. But what Kevin O'Connell brought here to a team that was largely left intact, much to my chagrin at one point. We can go through the schedule, which, by the way, I don't think is that weak. Like there's a lot of teams that the Vikings are just flat out right now better than. I mean, Dallas was great. Philadelphia was great, but Buffalo's damn good. And you beat them and came back from 17 down. I think it goes to what O'Connell has brought. And I think that the clip that was circulating of him before and during the Patriots game is reason number one why this thing has changed. It might be a trite word, but the atmosphere around this team is completely different, and they are getting the best from guys, which the last 2 years they did not do. I think that's number one.
What's your number one, Declan? Number one reason for this team being awesome?
Kevin O'Connell. I just think the way he has installed a much more modern offense, he has changed Kirk's wiring that, hey, it's okay to throw a 50-50 ball. It's okay to throw it to your tight window because you got playmakers that can do that. You don't have to just check it down. I mean, that was what we were wondering if he could even do that. Can you even change a guy's mindset when he's 34 years old and he's been a starter in this league for as long as he has? Can you change that mindset? And we kind of even thought, I don't even know if that is possible. But he has. He has legitimately changed Kirk's wiring. And I would attribute most of it to Kevin O'Connell.
Yep. I agree. I agree with everything you both said, but Kevin O'Connell would be the biggest slice of pie in the pie chart of praise here. And even the thing we just talked about with Cousins, like he's the one that came in here. Cousins needed to be unlocked in a certain way, and Kevin O'Connell had the key. And so we're seeing the best version of Cousins in certain instances. And just the culture on Purple Daily, we played a clip of the mic'd up. It's like a 5-minute mic'd up video. You could just, if you watch that 5-minute mic'd up video from the Patriots game, you can tell why this team is way better. It's Kevin O'Connell. So Carter Kotke says, I was listening to the Jets Bears broadcast coming home from the in-laws yesterday, and they mentioned something I thought was interesting. The broadcast crew was giving Chicago the benefit of the doubt while they were losing 31-10 because of their first-year head coach and GM combination and all the changes that will be made next year to turn the situation around. And that got me thinking, given the Vikings also have a first-year coach and GM and sit 9-2, what changes, if any, do you think will be made this offseason to make the Vikings a better team? That's like a whole week of episodes at some point.
That's an entire show. I think part of it will be made to keep guys, right? With the salary cap. So Justin Jefferson's going to get a mammoth extension. Guys are aging. There are going to be salary cap casualties. I don't know that there's going to be seismic changes. I don't think that that's going to be the case. But yes, I think guys who have succeeded are going to be taken care of. And that's going to cause, I would guess, just to pick a name off the top of my head, like a Dalvin Cook not to be back. That's what I would expect.
Yeah. They need to get younger and faster on defense too.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a really big conundrum for them in the first round because obviously they don't, I believe, have a second round pick from the Hockenson trade. So Correct. What do they want to do? Do they want to get a cornerback? Because they could use another one. I know Vikings fans are sick of that. I also could make the case for wide receiver. What do they want to get another weapon here for Kirk Cousins? It's an actual conundrum that they get to face. And as the mock season starts back up here in a couple months, it's going to be interesting to see where those mocking community has the Vikings and what they're going to take towards the end of the first round.
Yes, we're going to be hammering mock draft season. We would be hammering it right now if it was like a classic sort of 500 season. We'd probably already be, December rolls around and we're already
Defensive line.
Mhm.
Because I mean, Smith's been great. Z has, but he's not a young guy, and he's now dealing with a knee problem.
Yeah.
I wonder if you would take a pass rusher in the first round.
I could see that. I could see
There's a
that.
lot of different.
That's also on the table. Yeah.
Never have enough edge rushers.
It'd be nice if that guy can step in and play.
Yeah. So would you? That's another question. Would you draft to help the team in 2000? I know all the GMs say, just it's about the future. It's about a 5-year window. Well, but if you have a Super Bowl window right now and you can get a guy to come in and play right away, there's got to be some consideration to that.
I think if you take a cornerback, a guy that can rush the quarterback, or a receiver, that guy could step in. And I think you need enough help that it wouldn't look forced. Like, it's not one spot. It's not like when they took Bradbury and it's like, you took a center in the first round and he's going to start, right?
It's now paying off greatly, by the way. Genius draft pick. He's one of the top 10 centers in the league. It only took 4 years. But
Rick Spielman, man, executive of the year at CBS Sports.
Yeah. Is he still doing stuff for CBS Sports?
Well, he is.
Yeah, I think he started a podcast. It's called With the First Pick, and it's a draft podcast.
And he just says Christian Ponder the whole time.
Yeah.
With the first pick, we select Christian Ponder.